Hey everyone, we've just arrived in Viterbo, which is the start of our Via Francigena pilgrimage.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Carissa.
And we're
Set on Sainthood. We have been on an epic adventure to find answers to life's greatest questions.
And though the struggle is so real,
when you're on an adventure with Christ, it's all worth it.
Please join us in the universal call to be
Set on Sainthood.
We're at one of the gates in the city walls. They've got a nice little fountain. Somebody lives in there inside the walls, which is kind of cool.
Not just the pigeons.
And here's where we enter the city. The whole trip should be approximately 111 kilometers. So just over a century of walking. Makes me feel old now.
It was really nice meeting some fellow pilgrims at our Pilgrims lodging last night. One lady was doing it because some family members of hers got sick, and so she realized that she wanted to do this while she was still healthy.
We made a friend yesterday who's part of the Swiss Guard, and he's walking back home to Switzerland from the Vatican. So we're on a journey, and sometimes our journeys and our paths cross, and we get a little window into what else God has shared with others.
Today's been good so far, a little different than I expected because I thought we were going to be on a trail, like in nature, but I've been trying to pay more attention to the quiet moments between all the cars and notice the different colors of flowers, and I was noticing more bird song, things like that. And there's some pretty old houses along the way, so there's small things, even despite it being still quite busy. Yeah, so far this was obviously, of course, so far this was the hardest part because it's the only part we've done. But Mark assures me this is the largest vertical climb of our whole 111 kilometers. And it was good so far. It's just one step in front of the other, and just keep moving forward, allowing myself to realize that we're on a journey and that now we're shifting our intention of our pilgrimage. And really, this part of our journey is a lot slower paced. The purpose is to be walking. The purpose is to literally be moving slower than if you were on a train. Slow down and realize, like, I am doing what I set out to do. I am moving forward.
It is beautiful here, especially this, our first day, because we are climbing a mountain. And on that mountain is our first night stop.
Oh hey, we're in San Marino. We just arrived and it looks like it's market day. There's the church up on top of the hill with a Cistercian abbey. We have some favorite Cistercian sisters, so we'll be praying for them. The signs can be a little hard to see, but look, there he is.
Look, it's Mark and Carissa. I am excited to take things a little slower. It's more about the moving of God in our hearts rather than going to be moved by experiencing the saints or the locations where Christ was or following him in that way. I feel like the distraction of the walking is actually going to become a rhythm where we can hear God in the silence. Bienvenuti from almost Vertrala.
Almost there. I expect and kind of hope to get into a rhythm, just sort of walking.
Now we're on a
I suppose
real
I
trail.
haven't just walked this far without taking any like faster form of transportation. So I hope to just kind of get in that nice rhythm and then to get more used to the quiet and the stillness and the silence. I'm a little chatty sometimes, and so I'm looking forward to allowing myself to step away from that and just be quiet and let Mark have some space to think in his own quiet as well. But really, I'm hoping to get more used to God's voice, perhaps, and hopefully maybe he'll whisper some things to me in that silence.
Other things that I'm expecting are not quiet, even though Carissa said it. I love laughing and talking and noticing things with her. And she has just an eye for so much beauty in the world, so I love hearing about what she's thinking. We're starting day 3. How do you feel?
I feel a little weighed down.
What do you mean?
Well, we are carrying more today because we picked up some food for lunch. So I think literally it just is a little heavier. Of course, we started uphill, going out of the hill town uphill.
Kids these days, am I right?
You're right.
I suppose on the Via Francigena, there are going to be moments of discomfort for sure, pain. There might be blisters. There might be certainly like heat or cold, heavy packs, things like that. And so in those moments of discomfort, in those moments of challenge, and maybe micro suffering, we could say, those are moments to unite our suffering to Christ's suffering and offer it up for the people who are suffering so much more than we are, and to pray for them as well. And that's what I love about, one of the many things I love about the Catholic faith is that our suffering has a purpose, that without faith and without God and Christ's suffering, suffering doesn't make sense. But in our faith experience, it makes sense. And there's something you can do with it. You can make it productive. Because generally you can't really make your suffering go away. But with faith, you can at least like redirect it, and there's sanctification in that. So I think I'm gonna definitely have to keep that in mind as we have longer days, as we have steeper hills, as we have hotter, colder weather. So yeah, there's certainly a lot to learn from this experience.
It's in bloom.
You look like a weary pilgrim.
I look weary.
Whoa! Somebody knows how to have some fun on the Via Francigena.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Coming into Capranica.
E poi quando lui è guarito, lui è diventato il protettore dei cani.
My car, my cat. Meow. Ciao. Oh, there's that cat again. Meow.
We had a beautiful night last night with a wonderful host couple, and that really refueled and re-energized us to be able to go today, and boy did we go.
Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down to the river to parade.
It was really beautiful, especially that section between where we stayed last night in Capranica and the beautiful medieval twin hill town of Sutri. I am a flying squirrel.
This is the real life bridge to Terabithia. They call it a kingdom. What lies beyond these borders? We may never know.
It's harder than it looks.
Man, I couldn't see my feet at all.
Woo! I did it!
it looks like there's a wall there. Looking forward to taking off my back for a second.
Sutri.
We went through the beautiful town of Sutri, and it is kind of like two castle towns next to each other. And we got to check out the smaller castle town, which has become like a park.
What are we about to see? Whoa.
And then after Sutri was more farmland and open scenery.
As I had heard before, we went on the Via Francigena. We heard that there were going to be some issues with the locals' dogs. And after our scare in the Holy Land, we figured, we'll just be prepared. We've got our whistles and stuff. And our whistle actually came in quite useful today for a herd of sheepdogs that didn't want us there. So that was pretty exciting, to say the least.
That was on the longer variant that they made, actually, because the normal part of the trail is on a major road with no sidewalk. So we took the variant because we thought we were going to go see Montegelato and a waterfall.
Well, we hiked 3.5 extra kilometers to see this man-made, polluted check dam waterfall. I mean, the sound of the water is nice, but and then it kind of turns into a beaver dam or something over there. Okay, we're intentionally veering off path. We're gonna take this, what was hopefully gonna be a shortcut down Via della Prata, because we got duped into doing an extra 3.5 kilometers to see what I just showed you. And we are hoping this cuts off a corner of the triangle. But we are risking mud pits and who knows what else. Stay tuned. So we're coming out of that triangle and we see another Via Francigena sign. So we're hoping we're in the right spot. Mark's gonna check the map here.
Looks like it.
Wasn't so bad, but
Definitely don't want to do that again.
But turns out that's tomorrow.
But a little shaken up today. But, God's hand was probably in making sure we didn't go on that highway, because even though we had a little bit of a scare, we made it out with our lives. We're in Monterossi. This is the end of our 4th day. Today we got about 32,000 steps and we still had to walk home.
So we actually had our first 20-kilometer day, which is kind of the standard on the Via Francigena. Via Francigena is what they say. We're excited to see how tomorrow goes, get some good sleep, because we're pretty tired. Icebreakers are just like the next level.
Tell me more.
Like ice cream cone, gelato, maybe a cookie. I've seen that.
guess where we're going? Montegelato.
Who's having fun? God is so infinitely active in the smallest of ways. Just how even the smallest details of things are taken care of. Maybe not in the way that we expect. Definitely not in the way we expect. Maybe in the way that we don't desire. But in even the smallest ways, God is there. Hey everyone, we're here doing laundry and multitasking and having dinner as well. And dinner can be kind of expensive, but today we got 3 meals for 20 euros, which is pretty exciting. And it's really good. And here is Carissa to show you.
Tonight we're featuring a focaccia loaf infused with pesto and mozzarella. You could call it a sandwich, but actually we're just calling it genius.
And it is Friday, so we can't have meat. So we really went for it. And how is it? It's really, really good. And it's a beautiful day. We're expecting rain in a couple of days to end our Via Francigena.
Say it again.
Via Francigena.
Say it 5 times now.
Via Francigena, Via Francigena, Via Francigena, Via Francigena, Via Francigena. I can't do it. But you can try it home. And when you come on Camino, definitely check out the grocery stores. I mean, that's the way to do it. They do have Pilgrims menus. I think it's like 15 euros per meal or something. So we saved 10 euros today. It's at a bar.
Which is different from American bars, as you would hope. There's a bar, a ristorante, trattoria, cafeteria. Sounds a lot like a cafeteria.
Or you could sit out on an open air patio with the most beautiful view of your wife and enjoy a meal together. Blessed be God. Hello everyone. This is what an ostello or albergue or ospedale might look like. Pretty simple beds. They actually has some sheet protectors in this place that you put on for everything, which is pretty nice. And one charging plug. We got all our charging done in this morning, which is good news. We're starting day 6 of our journey. This was supposed to be our longest day. We'll see if it actually ends up being that way.
mountain of the day.
Yesterday we waited to expend all of our energy in the last half hour. Today we burned it in the first half hour.
When we have the most water, the most food of the day. But now it seems we're going downhill. Thank God. Hey everybody, we just started going for the first downhill of the day. I don't know what it is at these Italian hill towns, but you're on top of a hill, and then to leave the hill town, you would think you'd go downhill again, but no, you go up another hill. I just don't get it. But that's okay. We don't always understand things. We just follow the path and hope it's right. Along barbed wire fence and cypress trees, both of which are iconic in Italy.
Eat the spider. It's right there. Eat it. It's on me.
What you doing there, Mark?
There's a spider hanging from me. I'm about to hit my head on the gutter.
He's following us. Tiny little red flowers.
It was a good practice for me not to compare what they had packed or what kind of clothes they were wearing, because as Mark's been saying, we're on a different journey. So our reasons for wearing certain clothes or carrying certain types of backpacks is very different than what their reasons are for their gear, let's say. But again, not comparing to what the other pilgrims have, which are probably like sportier clothes or like official hiking clothes and things like that. Like, there is a reason we have the clothes that we have.
Look who's having the time of her life. Oh.
What you got there, Mark?
Riso e lentine, pomodoro, vinegar de mela, y sale, y agua.
And who made this concoction?
Dio, Carissa, Marco.
Okay, give us a bite.
I have to.
This is our sidewalk. I think this is probably going to be the only pretty part of today.
Why is that?
Because for the first half of our trek today, we were on highways and busy streets, and it was just suddenly so chaotic after being in the peaceful nature the last several days. So we're trying to enjoy the last of the green before we get into the hustle and bustle of Rome.
Hey family and friends, we are in the last few kilometers here. It's been quite a day, a little bit much with all of the cars driving by. But we did have a long walk through a park, and we're about to get to a park that everybody says is really great. Hopefully it redeems all of the rest of the hiking.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's a little startling being back in the busy city. So just a lot of cars and people and traffic. So I guess maybe I'm realizing how much I miss the forest and the quiet parts of the Via. So yeah, hopefully the rest of Rome is as beautiful as I remember it.
We're not going according to our plan. We would have already gotten to our place today, which means we would have probably stayed later at the other place we were staying at. But we're going all the way.
We were gonna have 2 shorter days and arrive tomorrow, but instead we realized how close we were, so we thought it'd be nice to arrive on Palm Sunday. So taking our trip as a 7-day trip instead of 8 days on the Via Francigena.
And Carissa is such a boss. You should have seen her go up this hill today. Like, her flying in front of me kind of made me feel bad, but it was also like, okay, we just gotta get this done.
That was it. I was just like, I just want to get to the top of this hill. Because we were on the flats and then it was just like, so.
Yep. Lots, very reminiscent of Frodo and Bilbo on the way to Mount Doom. Which
Frodo
is not exactly
Sam.
a Sam, thank you. Frodo and Sam on the way to Mount Doom. Which is not exactly what you want to reminisce as you enter the Vatican in Roma. But maybe it's a EU catastrophe that Tolkien talks about, where all of this good comes at the end of so much struggle.
Going downhill and now back to an uphill.
There's benches, Carissa. Benches everywhere.
What?
Whoa.
Should have sat on these benches. Our first view of Rome. Right, Mark?
Yeah.
Can't see St. Peter's yet. But that's Rome. made it, almost.
Our first glimpse of Rome.
I've also been growing a lot in patience spiritually, just realizing that I'm not going to get all of the answers or insights that I need at the same time, and that we are on a long process. And that's the journey of life, that you don't start out with all the answers, that you get small pieces of it along the way.
Observatory.
There's St. Peter's.
Where?
Right over there between those two trees.
Oh my gosh. A little mini glimpse.
I would also recommend anybody who has done the Camino de Santiago or has thought about doing the Camino de Santiago to check out the Via Francigena, the road to Rome. It is beautiful, and beyond the parts that we did, the Via Francigena starts in Canterbury, goes through France, through the Swiss Alps, which is so cool, down through Italy, through Tuscany. Okay, what? That's amazing. And then on to Rome. So definitely check out more about the Via Francigena. There's a whole website for the routes and the variants and things like that, so you can really map out your time on the road to Rome.
Wow, it was really gratifying going into St. Peter's and receiving our testimoniums saying that we are religious pilgrims and we made it all the way to St. Peter's from at least 100 kilometers away. And not only did we do our 100, we did 133.3. Guess what? That is the same as the height of St. Peter's in meters that we did in kilometers. That's a long way.
Yeah, that was a special connection. We found that we hiked 133.3 kilometers on the Via Francigena, but the height of St. Peter's Dome is 133.3 meters. How cool is that? It was really special showing up at the Vatican because we just showed the volunteers our Pilgrims credentials, and they got so excited to welcome us to St. Peter's. They started taking pictures of us, with us. It was kind of like being a celebrity, and they escorted us privately straight through the long security lines, straight into the testimonium office, and then into St. Peter's. We had like 2 private escorts. It was so cool.
Thank you for joining us on this adventure.
Stay tuned for more pilgrim adventures coming soon.